What's up guys, Frank Fulci back again with another one of my special videos. This is not a weekly or a midweek haul, but every horror movie that I've watched in, this time being the month of March, of course. Now it is April 1st when I'm recording this. I don't know when I'm going to upload it, but before we jump into all that good shit, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and click on the bell icon to get notified for any future uploads like this or like my hauls or whatever else. So let's jump into this, guys. This is now, I think, my sixth, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sixth every horror movie that I've watched in the month of whatever video. Now, if you haven't seen the other ones, they can get pretty long-winded, so grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, whatever you want to do. If you want to watch this during dinner, lunch, breakfast. Like I said, it is April 1st. I don't know when I'll get done editing this and then uploading it and all that good shit, but hopefully it's within the next couple of days at least. Just like I say every time, there are a decent amount of movies here, and some I will remember more about, and some I will probably remember nothing about them. So I'll do my best here, guys. Some of them are just going to be quick run-throughs. And yeah, so let's jump into this, guys. I'm looking down at my computer like always, so if you see me looking down a lot, that's why. And yeah, I also have a cup of water here in case I get parched, but let's jump into this, guys. So on the 5th of March was the first movie I watched of the month, and that was Nightmare Sisters from 1988, directed by David D. Coteau. This was on Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray I watched was put out by Vinegar Syndrome. Now this one stars all the Scream Queens from back in the day, right? So Linnea Quigley, Brinke Stevens, Michelle Bauer. Those three play sorority sisters, and they're kind of nerdy sorority sisters, so they're not the popular type. So the rest of the sorority's out, whatever they're doing, partying or whatever, or it's like during vacation time, whatever the fucking case is. But these three nerdy sorority girls are left back at the dorm or the sorority building, whatever, and they're like, you know, we want to have some fun too. So they invite some other guys, and they're like the nerdy guys of a frat. And Brinke Stevens' character is like she's a hoarder basically, but she's a collector. She goes to like thrift shops and shit and picks up all sorts of junk, and what she picks up this time is like a crystal ball. And of course the crystal ball is cursed and whatever else. And so when the guys come over and they want to do this party, they do a seance of some kind. And the three girls turn into these sexy ass succubus or succubi. And they go on a killing spree, and it's not overly gory or anything like that. And they end up, I think, killing these guys and a bunch of other whatever innocent bystanders by like biting their dicks off or something like that. Some crazy shit. Again, this was a month ago, so that's what I remember of it. Of course, all three of them, this is like in their prime, gorgeous, naked for a majority of the movie, or not majority, but a decent amount of the movie, just tits hanging out. So yeah, David D. Coteau, he's done a bunch of shit. What I know him best from is like Creepazoids or Puppet Master 3, like Full Moon stuff, but I was looking at his IMDb earlier today, and interestingly enough, this man in the last few years has done about 30 movies, all made for TV, with the word wrong in the title. So The Wrong Man, The Wrong Cemetery, The Wrong fucking Sorority House. My favorite one being The Wrong Cheerleader Coach. So I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing. Hopefully he's getting paid for these things, but that's what he's doing now. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. That was a fun time. Again, cheesy, nudity, cornball, fucking monster movie, I guess. So fast forward to the next day on the 6th, I watched a movie called Becky from 2020. This is one I've been meaning to fucking watch for a while. Jonathan Milo and Carrie Mernion. Yeah, we're the dual directors here, co-directors. I also watched this on Blu-ray. Now, this Blu-ray wasn't put out by anybody notable, no like boutique label. But yeah, this one stars a bunch of people. Now, those two directors actually also directed a movie called Cooties, which I fucking loved, starring Elijah Wood and Rainn Wilson, a bunch of other people from years back. But this one stars Lulu Wilson, Kevin James in a movie that's not quite like what he's done before. He's always a comedy guy, and I love Kevin James from King of Queens, things like that. Joel McHale is also in this. Interestingly enough, there's a wrestler, I don't know his actual name, I probably should have looked that up, but his wrestling name used to be Kurgan, and he's a French actor now. He's been in a bunch of movies. He was in a couple, like one of the Sherlock Holmes movies, but he's just this big, brooding monster dude, and he was in this, so that was cool to see him again after all these years. He's been retired from wrestling for like 20 years now. But yeah, this movie is being compared a lot to like Home Alone and shit, so I don't really remember too much about the plot synopsis of this. Lulu Wilson's character plays like a troubled teen, whatever. Her mother passed away. She's with her father, Joel McHale. He breaks the news to her that he wants to marry his, now his girlfriend, I guess, fiance, whatever. They're engaged. They're gonna get married, and she has a son. So now, like, Lulu Wilson's character is all pissed off, like, Mom would have hated her, blah blah blah. Anyway, Kevin James's character, that Kurgan guy, and a couple other guys are inmates. They escape. There's like a prison break or whatever. They escape, and they need to get to this house that happens to be where Lulu Wilson and all their other characters are. And then shit ensues. Kevin James and them are looking for whatever they're looking for. I don't want to get too crazy spoilery, but they're looking for something, and basically it's up to Lulu Wilson's character to get them the fuck out of there. So she'll set up some certain traps and things like that. So there is similar to Home Alone in that sense. But the acting was really good. This was a fun movie. I don't know if I thought it was as good as I wanted it to be, or maybe it just hyped it up too much in my head, but it definitely is worth a watch for sure. I probably will rewatch it too, so it is it's not really anything bad about it. It's just, it just is what it is. It was a good movie, so you definitely should check it out. Again, it was interesting to see Kevin James in a role that's way different than everything else. There are some things in this movie that are the reason why I'm like iffy about what I'm talking about. Is like, there's one point, again, not to be too spoilery, but like he gets his eye like basically pulled out of his fucking head, Kevin James' character, and like he goes to like, so the gore in this is okay, like it's pretty decent gore, practical effects and stuff. He goes to like cut his eyeball out because it's just dangling there. He ends up trying to cut it with a fucking baby, like, child-proof scissor at first, and that's clearly not working. But then he ends up, whatever, chops it off with a fucking butcher knife or something. But, like, he's only, like, bleeding a little bit. I feel like if you're cutting your fucking eyeball out, you're gonna be gushing blood for quite a while. So there's a little bit of that kind of stuff, gotta just spend, fucking, what do they say, suspend disbelief. That's the word. Fucking suspend. Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, let's move on. On the 9th, I watched a movie called The Waiting. Now, this one was brought to my attention by the director, actually. FC Rabath is his name, or Rabath. He actually contacted me months previous, like probably December. Would you be interested in reviewing my movie? And I said, sure, I'll do it. And then I stopped doing written reviews for my website. So I felt bad, man. I kept putting it off. I would keep thinking about it every few weeks. I was like, man, I should watch that. He had sent me a Vimeo link, so that's how I watched it. So I don't know if it's available anywhere. I don't think it is. But I watched it on Vimeo through this private link that he sent me. I ended up actually doing a full review of this. Now, this one is not quite horror. It takes place in a hotel, so think like The Innkeepers, Ty West movie. Small cast, like just a bunch of like people working in the hotel. The hotel is haunted, so it's like a supernatural thing. But it ends up being more of like a comedy, romance. This guy that is really trying to get his life together. He gets gets a job at this hotel, and he hears about this haunted room, and he ends up going to investigate himself. Finds out the ghost there is not really this crazy ghost. She's just lonely, and he finds out the backstory of her and all the shit, and they kind of form a relationship. So, again, you can read my full review of that one. This one was decent. Again, I don't know if I would rewatch it, but I do recommend at least watching it one time. Again, it's not a straight up, just 100% horror. It's got a lot of different genres mixed in. So again, worth a watch at least one time. The quality was good. The overall production quality was really good. Cinematography was good. All that stuff is actually better than I expected. So for an indie movie that not too many people would know about, otherwise, I think it's definitely was worth a watch for sure. All right, fast forward a couple of days. This one is not worth a watch, guys, at least in my opinion. 12-Hour Shift. Another one from 2020. I watch a lot of newer movies this month, guys. But directed by Brea Grant, who's also an actress herself. I've seen her in like Dexter and other random, bit parts here and there. But I watched this on Blu-ray that I had purchased from Magnet Releasing. Stars Angela Bettis, a couple other familiar faces. Mick Foley was in this, another wrestler. Speaking of wrestlers, I always bring up wrestlers in my videos. But sadly enough, the best part of this movie for me was the fucking 2 minutes that Mick Foley was on screen, because I love Mick Foley, my favorite wrestler of all time, and him being in this, he played like a dick, whatever. But like, there was nothing else good about this fucking movie. Angela Bettis was okay, like I guess the acting was alright, but she works in a hospital and she makes money on the side by like selling organs. So like she kills the patients in, you know, incognito ways and then takes their organs and makes money on the black market. And there's like all sorts of bullshit that happens. David Arquette is also in this and he was pretty good. It's just David Arquette, you know, nothing mind-blowing, but I don't even want to say anything else about this. I fucking hated this movie. It was one I was looking forward to, even like the cover art is fucking dope, all that stuff. And it's just, nah, I hated it. Next up, guys, the next day was the 13th. I watched Trigger Man, speaking of Ty West. This was from 2007, directed by Ty West. I watched this on DVD, and the DVD was actually, ironically enough, put out by Kino Lorber, which I didn't find out until I actually purchased the DVD. But this is, now a couple months back, I watched The Roost, which was Ty West's first movie that I didn't know existed. First movie he ever directed. And Trigger Man is the second movie he ever directed, which I didn't know about until, again, after finding out about The Roost, I went back on his IMDb thinking I knew everything he's done, and I didn't. So I picked up that DVD on eBay, pretty cheap. And this one was pretty good. It's about three buddies. Again, very low budget. If you know Ty West's like popular movies, they're pretty decent, like overall production value. This and The Roost are very low budget. But three buddies go out like hunting for the day, and there's a lot of like, even like the first like 45 minutes is really slow. It's just them hunting in the woods, and they're not really very good hunters either. It's not very authentic. If you ever actually hunted yourself, they're kind of just walking through the woods with guns. Like, that's not really how you hunt. At least my family's never done that. You just sit in one spot and wait in your blind or in your tree stand, whatever. That's not what they were doing, but I digress. Anyway, they just walking around, three buddies, whatever, and they end up, now this has to be spoilery because this is what the movie is, so I apologize, but these guys, they're getting ready to go. One of them is like taking a leak off the edge of there's like a cliff or whatever, and they're, you know, just drinking beers, whatever, hanging out, and they're getting ready to go, and they get one dude taking a leak, gets fucking shot in the head and falls down the cliff, dead. And they're getting shot at. Now, there's no explanation why. It's just a sniper is now shooting these guys. Yeah, they have guns, but they don't know where the fuck it's coming. Anyway, pretty crazy, like cat and mouse type movie is what it ends up being. Again, acting pretty good. Nobody that I really know except for Larry Fessenden, who was also in The Roost, and he's done his own movies. Scream Factory put out a box set of his movies. Good director in his own right. But this movie was good. Again, like if I watched the special features, there was like an interview with Ty West and a couple of guys at some like movie premiere, some like festival that it was premiered at, and he had a funny story about like the cops, like they didn't really have a license to shoot in the woods, especially with guns, even though they were fake guns, but it was really a real gun and it had the fake bullet in it. So funny story that he had about the cops like fucking arresting them basically and then letting them go. But side note, anyway, this movie was actually really good. Again, low budget, so you know, if you're gonna watch this, definitely know what you're getting into. But for Ty West movies, I love The House of the Devil. The Sacrament was really good. The Valley of Violence, I fucking love. Apparently, the last couple of years, he's been doing like a bunch of like TV episodes of things, and I do want to check out some of those things. There's a show called Them that he's done a couple episodes for, and apparently it's on Amazon, which I didn't know about until today, IMDb. But yeah, again, if you're looking for his older films like I was, definitely The Roost is actually really fun. I talked about that, I said, a couple videos ago, or a couple months ago in this type of video. And then Trigger Man, again, definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a Ty West fan. Next day, I watched a movie called Run, another one from 2020, and another one that I was actually really looking forward to, and I just put it off for a little bit. Directed by Anish Chaganty. This one is, of course, on Hulu. I believe it's a Hulu exclusive, so I don't know if we're ever going to get a Blu-ray or any, home release of this. And, of course, starring Sarah Paulson. Everyone probably knows her from American Horror Story, American Crime Story, a bunch of different things. I believe she was in Bird Box as well. Kiera Allen plays her daughter. She's in a wheelchair. Sarah Paulson is a single mother, and she's taking care of her. And Kiera's character, I forget her name, Ellie, or I forget what her name is, but she's really sick. She's paraplegic, and she has all these other conditions because she was born very prematurely. And yeah, so her mother takes care of her, and it's like a thriller. It's not really a straight up horror, again, no gore or anything like that. But as the story unfolds, again, I don't want to spoil it at all, but this movie wasn't as good as I was expecting. Now, a friend of mine who I've spoken about a bunch, her name is Ashley, she watched it. She loves Sarah Paulson, and she had told me, like, yeah, it was just okay, so which is why I didn't, like, rush to see it. Then my other buddy, Joe, told me, oh, I loved it. Everything about it was fantastic. So I was like, maybe I'll be in the middle of these two opinions, but sadly I agreed more with my first friend. She was right. It was just okay. It was predictable, which usually doesn't bother me, but I don't know, there was just not much going on. There is a high level of anxiety, which is what my buddy Joe liked about it. And, you know, it'll keep you on your toes, and, like, I don't know, even still, like, I was like, man, this is kind of slow. It's kind of a chore to get through. Don't get me wrong, acting was fantastic. The story itself is okay, but I feel like it's been done before. I mean, I can't quite put my finger on what movies I've seen it in before, but it's definitely been done before. And if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. That same day, I was just flipping through Shudder because I hadn't watched anything on Shudder in a while, and I was like not really in a mood. A lot of times when I'm looking for movies, I literally, like, you used to go to a rental store and just look at movies for like an hour and not know what the fuck to go home with. That's what I feel like with my own video library. I'm looking for like 45 minutes and I get pissed because I pick up a thing, I'm like, no, not this one, not this one, not this one. So I just went on Shudder. I was like, let me just fucking put on like the first thing I see. So I flipped through a couple and I just put on a movie called The Pool. It's an Asian one. I think it's like Thai or something. Probably should have looked that up. But it's from 2018. Ping director is Ping Lumpra Loang. Pretty sure I said that incorrectly. I apologize. But again, it's on Shudder. I believe it's a Shudder exclusive or a Shudder original. So I do want to get the Blu-ray of this one eventually. But this movie was actually really good. Now, it's a kind of a silly premise. This man, they're working on like a movie. It's like a film shoot, and this guy is I don't know if he's like the lighting guy or special effects guy, whatever, on set of this film, and they're filming, and you guessed it, like a big ass pool, like Olympic sized pool, no ladders to get in, nothing. It's just like a huge fucking pool, like full of water. I forget how many meters deep. It's not just something you can climb in and out of. Like when it's full, yeah, okay, you can swim in it and then get out of the water, but whatever, the filming for the movie they're shooting wraps up. He's just hanging out, like relaxing on a floating, like, you know, tube thing, floaty in the pool. Everyone else is left, and he ends up falling asleep. And the person that left before him told him, like, I unplugged, you know, I started the water being filtered out of this pool because we're done for the shoot. You know, the movie's over, we're done for the season. They don't need the water anymore, so you should get out of there. So yeah. Then he falls asleep, and as he wakes up, the water's like halfway down. Now he's fucked. He can't get out. So lots of crazy shit. So how is he gonna survive this? How's he gonna get out of there? His dog is like chained up top on. So the dog's barking. He can't really get help from the dog. Then again, spoilery. I think it's probably even in the trailer or the poster for this. So if you do watch it, it's not too crazy of a spoiler. There's a gator that comes. It's fucking crazy. The gator gets in the pool, like, so now he's got to survive not only being stuck in this pool and no one's around to help him, but now he's got to stay away from this gator. Anyway, really good movie. Again, the premise is kind of silly, but it ended up being really good. The thing about the gator is really shitty CGI, so it was forgiving in some places, but other places I was like, I wish that shit looked better. But again, just a random movie I threw on. It was actually a really good watch. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed that one that day better than I enjoyed Run. So do with that what you will. But fast forward a few days, guys. On the 19th, I'm actually almost already like halfway done with this, so we're doing good for time, guys. The 19th, I watched a movie called Death Stop Holocaust. Now, if you guys watch my whole videos, you'll know I picked that up pretty recently. It's actually a film from 2009. I think the Blu-ray was put out originally in like 2011 and then re-released again recently, which is why I picked it up. Directed by Justin Russell, who also directed a movie called The Sleeper from 2012, and that was put out on Blu-ray by Scream Team Releasing, and I have that, and I actually watched that. And I don't remember the film at all, but I do remember that I actually enjoyed that one pretty good. So this Blu-ray that I watched was put out by Media Blasters, by the way. I did like The Sleeper. I didn't like this one that much rather. Again, kind of a straightforward slasher type of movie. These two friends, they're ready for vacation time, ready to go. They're going to, like, not the Hamptons, but some island. It's not even Long Island. It's just they call it the island. Like, we're going to go to the island for a weekend and just my own little paradise. This one girl says, oh, I used to go there with my dad all the time. You're going to love it. Then they go on this road trip. First of all, in the car, it's like fake driving, like fake scenery passing by. That took me way out of it. Like the quality, this is a low budget movie, but still I was like, that's fucking trash. Anyway, they're driving and it's like some farm, like you're talking about a paradise, this island, whatever. And first they take a ferry there because it's an island. But then once they get there, they have to drive to the house. So they're driving, I said fake fucking scenery, whatever. And it's like farmland. Like, this is paradise. Like, there's nobody around. I get it. Like, that's paradise for me too. But very weird. And then like they stop at like this diner. There's like nobody in there. Like, where the fuck is everybody? If this is a paradise, nobody lives here. Like, I don't really get it. So very small cast. The acting was all right at best. Like, the practical effects and the kills and stuff were cool, but like there's not much of it. So guys, I'm gonna have to say this one is skippable. Again, if you like low budget slashers and stuff, maybe watch it one time, but do not rush to see this. Maybe put it on the bottom of your watch list and get to it eventually, but I was pretty let down by that. Next up, guys, the complete opposite of being let down. On the 20th, I watched The Rental, another 2020 movie. Directorial debut by Dave Franco, who you guys know is an actor. He's in a lot of comedies and shit. Brother of James Franco. This one I watched on Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray is actually put out recently, excuse me, by Scream Factory. And the cast for this was fucking brilliant. Dan Stevens, who you guys know as the Beast, or from the movie The Guest, Beast from Beauty and the Beast. He was in that X-Men related show on FX called Legion. Just a talented fucking guy, incredible actor. Love this guy, man. So he was in it. Alison Brie, who I know from Glow, but she's been in other like shows and stuff. Sheila Vand, which I don't know from anything. She was in, I forget what else it says that she was in, but she's been in something else, so you guys might know her from something else. But the fourth person that made up the main cast was Jeremy Allen White, who I know from Shameless as Lip Gallagher, Philip Gallagher. He's fucking awesome. I love him from Shameless, so I was extremely excited to see him, especially with Dan Stevens and these other talented people. So I love the cast. Acting was fantastic. This movie plays out like a Hitchcockian thriller mixed with a little bit of a home invasion slasher, mixed in with if you guys have ever seen the movie ATM, which is like another like slasher type movie, this could straight up be a sequel to that fucking movie. Like, if you watch this and watch ATM, you can't tell me that there's not a lot of similarities in the setup for this. So these guys, again, two couples, they go away on vacation, another type of theme here. They go away for a weekend or whatever it is, 2-3 days, and they want to have a good time, relax. Jeremy Allen White's character and Dan Stevens are brothers. Alison Brie is Dan Stevens' wife, and Sheila Vand is Jeremy Allen White's girlfriend. But then there's some crazy tension in the relationships, and things go awry. Again, I don't want to be too spoilery, but this movie was fucking great. Again, all those elements, like I said, Hitchcockian, thriller, and all that shit, and it just plays out so well. The acting is fantastic. The direction by Dave Franco was actually also co-written by Dave Franco and Joe Swanberg, who is another fantastic indie horror guy he's directed stuff, written stuff. He's been in a lot of stuff with AJ Bowen. He's done a lot of stuff with Adam Wingard, who will be coming up here later. Just that whole circle of people are always involved. So I was happy to see his name on the credits for sure too. But I can't say enough about this. Some people say, oh, it's all right, I didn't really like it. No, I knew I was gonna like it, but I loved it. Like, I liked it even more than I thought I was gonna. So definitely watch The Rental if you haven't seen it already. And if you have, let me know your thoughts. Next up, guys, we have on the 22nd, we have a movie called Stephanie from 2017, directed by Akiva Goldsman. This was I watched it on Netflix. Now, let me look up, now that I have I think I looked it up before. Akiva Goldsman hasn't actually done anything in terms of directing. Now, he wrote A Beautiful Mind, apparently. But in terms of directing, I think this was his first movie, first and only. Yeah, that's it. He directed Winter's Tale, which I don't know what that is, but anyway, Akiva Goldsman directed it. Again, I said I watched it on Netflix. This one, the only person I recognize from this, actually, I recognized the wife in this as well. I forget the actress's name, but she was the sister in a movie I watched recently called Gone Girl, and everybody knows that movie, so I'm not going to get into that. But Frank Grillo is the only one I really recognize in this as far as, immediate recognizable face. Frank Grillo is married to that other girl I just mentioned, and their daughter's name is Stephanie. The daughter is played by Shree Crooks, some young girl. She's probably like 10 or 11. But basically the premise of this is pretty interesting. Now, the movie's called Stephanie, that's the girl's name, and the movie starts out with she's by herself. You see little glimpses here and there of why she's by herself. Apparently there's some sort of plague some sort of something is terrorizing the world. Like, it's not just a local thing, like the world. And she's left by herself. Her parents left her, and for the first like 25-30 minutes of the movie, she's by herself, and she's in the house, and excuse me, what the hell? Ugh. And there's parts where she's like hiding from a monster. You think this is a monster movie, so she's hiding from a monster, and you hear, like, you don't really see anything, but you hear it from time to time, and it's pretty crazy. What happens is, again, this is spoilery, but I can't talk about this movie without being spoilery. Frank and the wife come back, and they're like, oh, you know, we're sorry we left you. We thought the monster got you. Turns out that Stephanie, the child, is the monster. Now, the premise of this is kind of like I don't know, it has certain vibes of like Bird Box and The Silence and Quiet Place, like just that monsters out there type thing, but what ends up being the case is that Stephanie is the monster. Like, because the whole time that the parents are back, they're like, all right, Stephanie, you gotta stay calm. Like, if you get scared, you just gotta think happy thoughts. Like, don't get crazy, just stay calm. And I'm watching this and I'm like, why are you, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Stay calm. But the whole point is, when she has bad feelings, angry, sad, scared, whatever, she turns into this fucking monster. So then there's flashbacks of how she killed her brother, and like, it's just this crazy telepathic fucking crazy monster that she turns into. Again, you're not really seeing it in terms of like beast, like she turns into a physical monster, but you do see some glimpses of how she kills people and stuff like that. So this movie was pretty good. Another one that I just randomly threw on Netflix. I was flipping through and I was like, I don't want to think too much, let me just throw this on. And again, ended up being a pretty good watch. Now, some of the effects are not as good as others. Again, a lot of CGI heavy stuff going on here, but it's pretty good. Again, good acting, all that stuff. The story itself was good, even though I said I got certain vibes of other types of movies that we've seen before, but definitely worth a watch, guys. Pretty much everything on here except for fucking Death Stop, Holocaust, and 12-Hour Shift have been worth a watch so far. And we're almost at the end. Fast forward a couple days on the 26th. Now, some people are going to say this is not straight up horror, but I don't give a fuck. I'm going to talk about it anyway. This is a movie called Cyborg from 1989, directed by Albert Pyun. I watched this on Blu-ray, again, from Scream Factory. This is starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, if you guys follow me on social media at all, you'll know for the last probably 6 weeks or so now, every Friday, I just happened to start doing this. Every Friday I watch a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, every Friday night. So this is like the only one, so I've watched a bunch, obviously, in the last month, but this is the only one that really ties in at all to the channel and, you know, horror and stuff, so I figured I'll talk about it. So again, Jean-Claude Van Damme, this is like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror movie, right? So it takes place in the beginning in like New York City, the Bronx, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's character is like a guy that protects people, basically. Everyone's scared. There's these pirates. They call them like cannibalistic flesh pirates. And the leader of the pirates' name is like Fender or some shit. And he's got these fucking mangled teeth. And apparently they're cannibalistic, even though you don't really see that in the movie at all. But that's what I think like the back synopsis on the, you know, the back of the case says, whatever. But yeah, so everyone's scared of Fender and his pirate gang. And so the reason the movie's called Cyborg is because this half cyborg, half woman is sent from Atlanta, Georgia to New York to gather data to get a cure for this plague that has taken over. And this is why it's a post-apocalyptic environment, is because there was this plague that, you know, basically killed everyone in the whole fucking world. So she gets the data, she needs to get back to Atlanta. Fender and his people capture this cyborg. They're bringing her to Atlanta themselves. This way they can kill everyone there and use her knowledge for their own good, whatever, and take over the world, whatever the fuck they want to do. So Jean-Claude Van Damme's character basically kind of vowed to like protect her. They had a little run in the beginning of the movie before Fender and them got her, and so he's like going to Atlanta now with this other girl that this other like couple of people that he's protecting on the way. And yeah, so the whole journey is like them going to Atlanta, and then Fender and Pearl, the cyborg, like going to fucking Atlanta, and their paths end up crossing again. The funny thing about Jean-Claude Van Damme is actually this is probably one of the weaker movies of his that I've seen in these last 6 weeks. The thing is, like, is Jean-Claude Van Damme really a fucking martial artist? Like, I know he's got the crazy flexibility, he's clearly in great shape, but like, maybe it's more to blame of like the cheesy directors of these times, but like, you watch some of these martial arts sequences and I'm like, I could do that shit, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, is this really martial arts choreography at its best? Like, not really. At least not in this film. And a lot of the other ones, again, they're kind of cheesy. Like, you watch like a Jackie Chan movie from even 20 years before this, and it's fucking fire action, like crazy choreography. And then I watch this shit, I'm like, Jean-Claude Van Damme, what are you doing, bro? Like, silly ass shit. But anyway, it's a fun time. Again, this was one of the weaker ones I've seen of all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies recently, but definitely if you're looking for cheesy fucking late 80s sci-fi horror, go for it. Now, Albert Pyun, I know him from like the Nemesis movie. He's directed 5 Nemesis movies. I've only seen like the first 3. He's also Back to Full Moon. He directed Doll Man. So he's been out there. This guy's been directing movies forever. If you look at his IMDb, there's like hundreds of shit on there. But he's like known for like doing these crazy. He did like Kickboxer 2 and 4. Like he does sequels to everything. But yeah, again, this one, like I said, weaker, but worth a watch if you like cheesy fucking JCVD stuff. The next day, I watched Man's Best Friend. Now, this is one I had on my shelf forever. Blu-ray from Scream Factory. A lot of Scream Factory this month. This one's from 1993, directed by John LaFia. Now, John LaFia is actually a name that you guys might be familiar with. He directed Child's Play 2. He actually is credited for writing the original Child's Play. So John LaFia has been around. I don't know if he's active now, but he was around at that time for sure. Man's Best Friend. So it's about a dog, basically a genetically altered dog. This one stars Ali Sheedy and Lance Henriksen. 2 names I shouldn't have to really explain too much. Lance Henriksen, obviously from Aliens, Pumpkinhead, Near Dark, all sorts of crazy shit. Ali Sheedy's been in a bunch, but I only know her from like Breakfast Club, things like that. So it was cool to see her in this role. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything, maybe one other thing besides Breakfast Club. So it was cool to see her in this. She was great. Acting in this was awesome. This movie was really fun. It's about, like I said, genetically altered dog, basically, Rottweiler. So Ali Sheedy's character is like a journalist or like a newscaster. And she learns about this testing facility, this like geneticists and shit. They're doing tests on animals. So, you know, animal rights type stuff. So they find out about these poor conditions of these animals, and she and her partner break into this lab, whatever the fuck you call it, where they're keeping all these animals, and finds all the evidently abused animals, and she ends up letting out Max, this big ass dog. And Max is like very loyal to her after this. Like there's one part where she's getting mugged, and then Max comes and saves the day. He opens the door of the car and like chases the guy down, gets the purse back. So Ali Sheedy's character is in love with Max. Max is in love with her. She brings him home because she can't bring him back to the lab. Like, you know, they reported him missing. This is this crazy science experiment that's worth billions of dollars because of what he's done. They've basically spliced together other animals, so the camouflaging abilities of like an iguana or, you know, other lizards, or chameleon rather, the speed and agility of like a cheetah, and the climbing ability of a, you know, these fucking crazy wildcats that climb trees and shit. So every good attribute or trait from these different animals are spliced together and put in Max. And the thing is, Max is on medication to suppress these things, but once the medication and the, you know, the stuff wears off, he's a fucking man-eating beast, basically. So as the movie's going on, you see that he's jealous of a lot of the people around Ali Sheedy's character, and basically, again, too many spoilers I've given so far, but really fucking fun. Max is brutal. There's one part where he eats a fucking cat whole. Like, it's just awesome. I love the dog in this. All practical effects. Just a good fucking time. Love this killer dog movie way better than Cujo. I know it's blasphemy, I guess, but Max makes Cujo look like a fucking bitch. So yeah, definitely watch Man's Best Friend. Next up, guys, almost done. The Taking of Deborah Logan. This was on the 28th of March from 2014, directed by Adam Robitel. I watched this on Blu-ray. Again, not a boutique label release, so I didn't write down the company name, but yeah, Deborah Logan is an older woman played by Jill Larson. She has Alzheimer's, or what they think is like, you know, the early stages of Alzheimer's. And this is a found footage movie. And this young girl, she's like a college med student, whatever. She brings her friends. They're like, you know, they're putting their thesis together, whatever, and they're doing a study on the effects of Alzheimer's. So, and they're paying Jill Larson's character, Deborah, and her daughter, they're paying them. So Deborah's daughter says, we need the money. We can't pay the payments on the house, all this shit. So let's do this. You know, it's for a good cause. They're gonna, you know, it's just a study, medical study. And the movie goes on, and it basically turns up into she's not just suffering from Alzheimer's. It's a possession movie, basically. Now, I don't want to give too much away like I've done with every other movie, but this movie is fucking fantastic. One of my favorite found footage films, and I've seen everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly that subgenre has to offer. And right when I watched this back in 2014, I loved it. This many years later, revisiting it, I still love it. There were some parts now that I didn't really remember back then, like, caring about, but there's some parts where the acting is like iffy in this, like, whoa dude, did you see that, bro? What is that? Like, weird dude bro acting, like, just randomly. Like, the guys in this movie, like, the actors are pretty good. They're just like your everyday guys filming shit and being surprised by possession stuff, but like, there's just some reactions that are like either like overreactions or underreactions, and it's kind of weird, but those are very few and far between in this movie. So overall, fantastic film. Definitely watch it if you haven't. Later that day, guys, I wanted to prepare for another movie that's going to be the last one in this, but I watched Kong Skull Island. Again, not straight up horror, but I don't give a fuck. Sci-fi, horror elements for sure, and it's fucking huge King Kong, like kaiju, giant monsters. So this is from 2017, directed by Jordan Voight Roberts. I watched this on Blu-ray. Again, this one's put out by like Lionsgate or Paramount, some big company, so not really a boutique label. But Kong Skull Island takes place in 1973. The cast for this is fucking incredible. Samuel L. Jackson, John C. Reilly, Brie Larson, Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman. The list goes on. But basically, Monarch is this company that is studying areas that are yet uncharted by anyone. Basically, undiscovered areas where they think secretly that there's things like Kong and other, different evolutionary, basically, animals that aren't part of everyday life. So they don't let these people know that, but they go there with like an army escort, and the island, Skull Island, is surrounded by just a perpetual storm system, so that's why no one can ever get there. But they break through the storms and they get there and they discover Kong, amongst other things. Now, the reason why I say this is horror, if you guys don't agree, is there's all sorts of fucking crazy monsters and shit there that Kong has to fight daily. Huge, giant squid beasts and skull crawlers, as John C. Reilly's character calls them, and just all sorts of things. So this is a fucking horror film, whether you guys want to believe it or not. Love this movie, and again, I wanted to prepare myself rewatching this one for the next one coming up. So that's all I'll say about Kong. If you don't watch Kong Skull Island, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. It's a fucking King Kong movie, and it's fantastic. But it is part of the Toho universe, the monster universe created for this culmination, which just came out on HBO Max and in theaters. I watched this yesterday on the 31st. Godzilla vs. Kong, yes! Now again, 2021 film, directed by Adam Wingard, who did The Guest. He is a horror director in my eyes. He's done fucking The Guest, You're Next. He did the Blair Witch requel. He's done segments in VHS and a bunch of those like other anthology films. He's the fucking man. Adam Wingard is awesome. I love everything that I've seen by him. And the fact that he was able to do a film of this magnitude makes me fucking happy. Makes me happy to be a horror fan. Makes me happy to root for these people and see them be successful, because who knows where he can go from here. Like, this is just tip of the iceberg for him. Anyway, Godzilla vs. Kong, what can I say about it? Fucking fantastic. Another star-studded cast. Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, who's from like The Town, The Awakening. She's been in a bunch of stuff. Millie Bobby Brown, you guys know from Stranger Things. My homie Paperboy from the show Atlanta, Brian Tyree Henry, was in this. Just great cast, great acting. A lot of actors returning from Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Nobody, unfortunately, returning from Kong, because again, that takes place in 1973, so can't really have any returning characters for that. But the story is heavily involved in that, and heavily involved, they take a lot of things from Skull Island and tie it together with a lot of things from Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters, and it's just a fucking all-out kaiju warfare. Kong versus Godzilla, there's a story to it, but again, I don't want to get too much into it. There is story involving Godzilla, out of nowhere, after years, just attacks a certain coastal building. There's Apex Cybernetics is a company, and they get attacked by Godzilla unprovoked. So they're like, wow, why the fuck would Godzilla do this? He's waging war on humanity. We have to stop him. So this group of scientists led by Alexander Skarsgård and Rebecca Hall and these people that have put the team together, they're talking about the hollow earth theory, and we need to find this power source that can control Godzilla, but we need Kong to help us take us to the power source. So there's a whole bunch of things going on with that, and my battery's gonna die here any second now, guys. So like I said, huge fucking monster battles, big action movie. It's definitely worth a watch. I'm gonna watch it probably again before the week is over, and we're on Thursday, so within the next couple days I'm gonna rewatch it. And that is it, guys, for the movies that I've watched. Let me know in the comments below if you watch any of these, or you plan on watching any of them. Do you agree with my opinions? Are you gonna tell me I suck because my opinions are bad? But whatever, hit me in the comments, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you made it to the end here, and sorry to cut this short, but like I said, my battery's gonna die any second. So until next time, guys, peace out and be good.